All right, let's go ahead and get started. Valjean, feel free to present your PowerPoint. I will stop sharing, okay?
Okay, no problem. Thank
Awesome.
you.
You're welcome.
Is my screen being shared? I can't stop sharing. Okay. Well, good morning. My name is Valjean Perkins. I'm the manager of Food for Life Network. I'm going to talk to you a little about the eligibility process for clients with a for Food for Life. So the client's eligibility, the program is Food for Life program is only for clients of the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program who receives a referral from a in-network case management. With the referrals, case managers are supposed to include a food stamp application with the referral. We have a lot of case managers that doesn't. The clients that would be eligibility for the program are clients that's receiving under $250 in food stamps and under 250% of the federal poverty level.
Mhm.
Clients that are not eligible for Food for Life program services, Part A services, due to income and food stamp requirements may be referred to Part B program services. Any questions? No? Oh, this is going to be quick.
Hold on, Valjean. I'm sorry, I
Yes.
was muted. So do you want to take just a minute to explain when someone would be referred to Part B?
Um, that would be if they're not eligible for Part A services, meaning their income is over 250% of the poverty level,
Mm-hmm.
or they're receiving over $250 in SNAP benefits, which is food stamps.
Okay. And how about the additional occurrences? If they do they
That's gonna
qualify?
that's the next slide.
Okay.
No problem, Sandra. So with the initial referral, clients are
We
eligible to pick up 20 occurrences, meaning they have 20 pickups. I have a question. I'm sorry.
Karen has a
Go
question.
ahead, Karen.
Good morning. My question is, I usually send the like the food stamp denial letter. You want that or the application?
Both. If you have a denial letter, that means the client went through the whole process and they have a denial letter, that's fine. I have clients that are just given referrals with no type of documentation for food stamps. So when the clients come in and we ask them about food stamps, we're getting cursed out. My case manager didn't tell me, all the backhand drama.
Are you approving referrals if that information is not attached to the referral and provide?
Yes, we are. A lot of case managers will put a notation that the patient will bring in the referral. I meant the letter when they come in to pick up services. It's another tricky part to it. Case managers are generating referrals for Food for Life. Once the clients come in, we approve the referral and we go in to bill for the services. A lot of clients is not eligible because their income is too high. But we have a certified referral.
Will the system stop you from doing the Food for Life?
No. Nope.
I would think that it would be a pop-up saying, clients
Okay.
FPL is above 250, does not qualify. There should be some sort of thing that stops it.
It'll stop it on my end, but as far as the case manager generating the referral, no.
No.
So when you say stop it on your end, that means that you would reject that referral coming to
No, I can
you,
approve.
right?
I can approve the referral, put the client information in, approve the referral, go to bill them for the services. And when I bill them for the services, that's when it'll give me the flag that the client
That's when you
income
get the
is
flag.
right after
I
the
was,
patient has went through the whole process.
hmm.
But is there, is the FPL on the referral, Valjean?
No,
It's not on the referral.
no, ma'am.
Wow, because otherwise you'd have to verify everything, every single referral before you approved it and
Mm-hmm.
provide.
Yes.
That's a
Is that
training
something,
issue. That's a
is
training
there some,
issue then.
is that something that we could discuss with Provide? Because I know that, let's say with their expired, you know, it won't let you do certain things. I mean, there should be some sort of block
No,
for
and then
clients that are 200.
it can also be that when a case manager provide the referral and provide, they go back
Things that look.
and read where the eligibility at, it's automatically going to say no for food bank. And it'll give you the reason why. And sometimes it's the clients receive over $250 in food stamps, but we still get a certified referral for it. Or their income is over 250% of the poverty level.
Hold on, let's see something here.
Unfortunately, I agree with Sandra. I think that's a training issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think the case managers do not know that is 250 FPL. And when they're just rushing through and they don't look at that no.
Oh, yeah, because it's a lot. I sent 3 clients back to the case management agency last week regarding the income. And they was like, well, why did you approve the referral? The referral was there for us to approve the services.
Yeah, there should be maybe some sort of
In Case Watch, I know it used to block it.
programming.
Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
programming issue. Case Watch used to block it.
Yeah, but know that PE doesn't automatically block anything. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
programmed, and
Mm-hmm.
any additional programming to PE is a cost
Cost.
to Ryan White. So I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think the
Mm-hmm.
resolve would have to be before a case manager generates a
Mm-hmm.
referral to food bank, they go to that screen
Mm-hmm.
that shows them where the FPL is, and it's just in the financial eligibility screen. But again, to Laura's point, sometimes you're generating them so quick, you're not thinking to do that, and they may not have been notified that that was an issue. So we may have to kind of drill that in before you submit a referral to Food for Life. They have to go to the eligibility screen.
You know, staff need to be trained, apparently.
Yeah.
Valjean, do you see this? It varies from agency to agency. Are you communicating with supervisors when this occurs?
I call the case managers personally.
Would recommend you call the supervisor to bring it to their attention so they know that staff require training.
Okay.
Because it's an inconvenience to a client to show up thinking they're getting food bank and they're not actually eligible. That's a
No.
problem. That's a big problem.
We'll provide them with something. We don't just let them walk out the door without anything. We will
Sure.
provide them with something. Yeah. But
Yeah. Well, that's good. Thank you.
yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving right along. So clients with the initial referral, clients are eligible to receive 20 occurrences, which is 20 pickups. However they choose to pick them up, is only allowed 20. After 20, the clients will have to meet with a licensed medical prescriber or a registered dietitian to see if they meet the criteria for an additional 16 occurrences. You're only allowed 36. If you get the extra 16, you're only allowed 36 pickup a year. After that 36 pickups, you'll be referred for Part B funding.
I have two questions, Valjean, one from
Yes,
Maria
no
and then
problem.
Laura.
Yes, Maria. Your
You're
phone is
muted,
muted.
Maria.
You're
She's
muted.
muted.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sometimes
No
we
problem.
have a case that the client maybe have more than 250 FPL, but they lost the job and they need it. So how it's going to work with this?
They don't qualify, Maria. if their income is over 200% FPL. But
Even
if
You
the
though
said they
income,
lost their
well, if they
job.
lost, then you have to you have to update the
Do a
financial
Financial.
Correct.
to adjust the FPL.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Laura?
I have two questions. So Valjean, you mentioned
Yes, ma'am.
earlier that sometimes you get to where you're trying to bill for the service
Mhm.
and you find out that the client is not qualified
Eligible.
for the service, or you can't bill. What happens then? Is the client notified that they don't qualify?
The
You
clients are
notify the
actually
case manager?
the clients are actually in the lobby filling out
Oh,
paperwork. It's once the client comes to the office. That's why I say when we have issues like that, we provide them with something and we let them know that they don't qualify. And some of them is like, yes, that is my income, is correct. Or they do receive $270 in SNAP benefits, but the case manager didn't explain to them that they didn't qualify for the services because of the income or the food stamps.
okay. All right. Second question. So Food for Life, uh, did the criteria for it change? I mean, I thought it was, and correct me, if someone was recently hospitalized or they lost a job or the household changed, or does everyone that's at 250 and receives or SNAP benefits under 250 qualify?
Yes, they qualify.
So
I mean, there
everyone
was a
qualifies.
change.
It
There
was
was a
like
change. Well, it was a
before
change
the
in
pandemic,
FPL.
after pandemic.
Yeah.
They
But
changed
what is
the
Right.
your,
LPNL and the food stamps.
yeah.
Right. But my question is that before you had to be sick, you lost your job, you were recently hospitalized and discharged, but is that no longer? Does everyone that meets the FPL qualify?
No, Laura, the service definition has not changed in terms
Okay.
of
Correct.
when you refer for
Okay.
food, but you still have to
Understood.
be experiencing some sort of an emergency, I think is the way in which it's
Yeah,
written with
it
those
is.
examples. So that still stands.
So it has
So
to
if
be an emergency.
it has to be, yes, the client needs to meet the service definition to qualify, and then they will qualify only if their FPL is
Yes.
as
Under.
indicated and the food stamp
Correct.
limitation is valid.
Thank you.
Valjean, how do you handle cases with families, like members of families who are also positive and live in the household but are not clients? They're eligible too, correct?
And they receive referrals. Some of them receive a referral. So we have two people in the same household, and each one of them have a certified referral.
But what if one is not a client? Let's say one is a child of a client and who is positive. How do you represent that in the referral?
That's just I never had a case
Isn't
way
doesn't the service definition talk about that, like family members or
additional. Yes, it does. But I never had a case where a dependent was added to a referral.
Karen, can you speak to that?
It's just based on the client health assessment, but I've never had a client that we had to address it that way either. But in the health assessment, it does address in the last couple of months or the last month, have you had any food insecurities? I'm paraphrasing, or anyone else in your household. So if you're addressing that through that assessment, I'm assuming that you would increase the amount of food that the person gets. But how that gets on the referral, you can't put someone's name on a referral that's not in the system. If they don't have a CIS number, you can just maybe add them in the description. I don't know how Valjean will facilitate that. Again, I'd never had
Well-
that instance, but
Yeah.
it is questioned.
Well, when you make the referral, it does ask you, is there somebody else in the house that's positive? And now, also the second question is there a dependent or children? So
Right, but
that's part of the referral process. It asks those two questions about a dependent and another HIV positive, because I don't think that their children have to be positive.
Right, but
Could be
it's what
anybody.
does it look like? It could be anybody in the household, because if you've got a food insecurity in your household, you can't eat, neither can your dependents. But what that referral looks like after you generate it, I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Me neither.
Never seen
Right.
one.
George, does it populate that information on the referral? That there's an additional
Don't
person
think
in need?
I really don't know. I'd have to look at the referral, but I know when you generate it, it asks those
Mhm.
It does
questions.
ask those two questions,
Mhm.
but how does it come out on the referral? I'm unaware.
So I'm looking at it right now. The question says, you referred for service category, food bank, home delivered meals. The next question is, does client have dependents that also need food bank assistance? Yes or no? Does client have an HIV positive adult household member in need of food bank assistance as well? Yes or no? So if you choose that, it may be a drop down menu for that. Valjean will actually be able to see that. So I guess we're asking, now that George brought it up, if it is yes, do you double the amount of food that the client would get based on the need in the household?
So, well, I think
No,
Mm.
George, you're muted.
Interesting.
Let me see
I
if I
think
can
that
create
it's
one.
an extra $25 per dependent.
Okay, so we can definitely do some
I could
follow-up.
check into that. I could follow up on
Yeah.
that one.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that concludes my presentation. My contact information, hours of operation, and address is available. You can email me personally, and I have no problems giving out my cell phone to any managers that would like it.
Valjean, I'm looking
Yes.
at one of
No,
the
George.
referrals. What?
No, George. Go
What?
ahead, sweetheart.
Really? I'm looking at the referral right now, and it does say
Mhm.
dependents in need of
Mm-hmm.
assistance, blank, HIV positive adult household member in need of assistance. So it does have that on the referral.
Right.
And it asks how many, the number of
Yes,
dependents
yes,
that need
you
it.
would put
Mm-hmm.
the number.
Correct.
Yeah.
Does everybody know where to find the letter of medical necessity?
Food for Life
AIDS med.
provides, yeah, but I provide all the clients 4 weeks ahead of time the letter so they can
Okay.
take it over because,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
mm,
great.
yeah, I provide them that letter.
It should also be on Miami-Dade.gov's website. Laura, do you have a question?
No,
No? All right. Any other
No, darling.
questions for Valjean?
please say no.
We don't get to see you very often.
I know. I
I
be
do have a
hiding.
question. I have a question for
It be
Valjean.
Karen.
Listen. So I know when we discussed some of the summary for the client satisfaction survey, this was something that actually came up.
Mhm.
The medical necessity is that the clients were not aware of that. So if the case manager submits, no, if the case manager is not following the client, they don't know that they've had those 26
Mhm.
pickups. We were
Mhm.
trying to figure out how they can actually follow that. And I think the discussion was basically clients that have a referral to Food for Life, you're documenting that somewhere in your action plan goals. And maybe you'll follow that client weekly to make sure that they picked up their medication, maybe an email to you midway or something. Because I think the issue was if a client comes on the 27th week, not knowing that it's been 27 weeks, they're going to miss that week. There's a possibility. I know that you do your due diligence and you don't want any client to go hungry, but the reality is that the case manager should have been aware that that client is at 26 weeks and provided that letter of medical necessity prior to. Because even if you're putting that letter in the client's bag on that 26th week to say, hey, if you're going to continue this, this is what I need, it's going to take a minute for the case manager to get that form, to the PCP, get it filled out, get it back, and then get it to you. I mean, unless you're
That's
right
why I
next
give
door.
them, that's why I give them the 4 weeks ahead of time to get the letter
Okay.
filled out.
Do you guys get that letter from the client if Valjean sends that letter with the client? Does the client come back to the case manager and say, hey, I got this letter from Food for Life. I need you to fill it out?
A lot of the clients go directly to their doctors or the nutritionist.
Directly. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Directly. And then we upload them into Provide.
Okay.
I would recommend, however, that you encourage clients to let the case manager know since
Absolutely.
the care plan needs to be updated,
Okay.
Correct.
and case managers should be aware when the client has that additional need as well.
That's where I was going with that. Thank you,
Okay.
Sandra.
Not a problem.
George, you have your hands up. Question?
Yeah,
Comment?
I'm sorry. Just another question. Let's just say the person's day to pick up is Friday. Now we
Mhm.
had Fourth of July on a Friday.
Mhm.
What happens? Is there a possibility of getting it early? Does the system allow you to bill
The
it?
system doesn't allow me to give it. The system doesn't allow me to provide the services early, but we provide the services and bill that following week when we go back to the office for the 4th. So the clients will actually pick up double food. We'll give them the food for that week and the food for the following week, which will be the 4th of July. Or the clients to come in on that Monday and pick up the food for that Friday.
That's
Because
great.
we have clients that want to keep that Friday date, Monday date because they're off work. That's easy for them, however it is. I saw someone else hand up.
Oh, it's Hardeep. Hardeep, do you still have a question? No? Okie dokie.
Sorry, that was an error.
No worries. No worries. All right. Well, thank you, Valjean.
You're welcome.
Very informative. And if you want to put, I don't know if you want to put your cell phone number in the chat, but I can send you the list of all of our supervisors if you want to reach out to them and send
No problem.
your number to them
Okay.
personally.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. If you want to stop sharing, we'll let the other presenter go on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. Okay. Next on the agenda is Ilenia Sanchez Bryson from Legal Services of Greater Miami. Are you with us, Ilenia?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sharing my screen.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. My name is Elena Sanchez Bryson. I'm the Chief Program and Innovation Officer at Legal Services of Greater Miami. I'm obviously going to talk to you today about the Ryan White program and how to refer patients to that program, but I think it's helpful because you may run across patients who don't qualify for Ryan White for some reason or other and may benefit from our services. And in those situations, I'm going to discuss all that we do so you're also aware of additional services we provide, not just those through the Ryan White program. So for those of you that may not be familiar, we provide free civil legal services to the neediest individuals in our community with the goal of improving their financial and housing security. We do this for our entire service area, which is Miami-Dade and Monroe County. We are an LSC funded program, which means we're funded by Legal Services Corporation, which is congressionally funded. And there is an LSC funded program that covers every county in the country. So we're a big sort of network of programs. But along with those LSC eligibility, to qualify for LSC funding, as long as we get $1 of LSC funding, there's a lot of eligibility criteria, but one that we cannot waive, even with other grants, is immigrant eligibility. The big categories are that people have to be citizens, lawful permanent residents, asylees, or refugees. However, number one, as the discussion, sort of very important discussion earlier, is we don't want you in the business of sort of telling us what somebody's status is. Err on the side of referring, and we will determine if we can serve them or not. And that's also because there are people who do not fall into these categories who may still qualify because they're a victim of trafficking or sexual violence or or they have some specific kind of work visas. But I just want to flag that in case somebody does come back and tell you they said I didn't qualify. And usually clients, unfortunately, just hear like they can't help me because I'm an immigrant, or they can't help me because I'm not a citizen. That may be their understanding, but that's not the case. It may just be that they don't fall into one of the specific eligibility requirements. And then people have to be generally low income. Obviously, for Ryan White, we go up to whatever the Ryan White eligibility income is. But for our LSC funded grants, it's 200% of federal poverty. And then we have grants that let us go up to 80% of area median income, which is why I say we can always assist in the patient, even if they don't qualify through Ryan White. Big ticket areas of things we do not do, and I find this is helpful to let people know. If someone were to just come in off the street or call us and want these services, we would provide referral information or self-help resources, but we don't handle criminal matters. Most immigration issues, traffic tickets, credit repair, workers' comp, and lawsuits. And lawsuits is because that's sort of what the private bar is really good at. We're broken up into 4 practice areas. I'm not really going to talk about our community economic development unit, and that is because that unit primarily focuses on small businesses and nonprofits. But our 3 other practice areas include our public benefits, sort of health and income maintenance unit. We help people with food stamps, cash assistance, all sorts of medical insurance issues, so Medicaid, medically needy, kid care, disability benefits, unemployment, and veterans benefits. In all of these cases, we do not help people file initial applications. We help them if they've been denied, reduced, terminated, if they don't agree with the amount that they're getting in benefits. All of those issues we can assist with. We also handle education cases. I think this is one where people may ask, well, how does an education case help housing or financial stability? Oftentimes what we see is if the students are having difficulties in school and parents are getting called to pick them up, or their child being suspended or expelled, it creates issues with their employment. They could be missing their job, and that also leads to financial insecurity for the family, and also for the long-term financial stability for the child and housing stability. So we help students with disabilities who haven't been tested for services, have been tested, but the school's not following, or hasn't put in an IEP or individualized education plan, or has a plan but is not following it. And this is both for disabilities due to like learning disabilities, but also if they have any sort of behavioral or mental health issues where the school's trying to use suspension or expulsion as a way to deal with the issue rather than providing services. We help with tax issues. Basically, if the person has an income tax issue, we will assist. Again, we don't help file for taxes, but we can direct people where to go if they need that help, especially if they owe like back taxes or haven't filed in a while. We help with garnishment, debt collection, bankruptcy, student loan issues, all those types of consumer issues. If we're low-income workers, home ownership issues, people who've been tricked out of their home, who are behind on condo maintenance or assessments, as this can often lead to foreclosure, sometimes for a rather small amount of money, especially if they own the home and have it paid off, and people who are behind on their mortgage or are already in foreclosure proceedings. We help people in mobile homes if they're in a mobile home park. We help them if they have been, they own the mobile home or just rent the mobile home. And if the mobile home park is being closed, there's liens on the park, or they're just trying to evict them. Tenants' rights is our biggest area of assistance. We help people who are in Section 8, public housing, private housing, mobile homes, and housing opportunities for persons with AIDS. And if they've been for Section 8 and public housing, if they're on the wait list and when their sort of turn comes up, they're found ineligible for any reason, we can take a look at that. Sometimes we find that the housing authorities can make a mistake and make an inaccurate decision or have that overturned. And especially if, people wait a long time to come off those waiting lists and get to low-income housing. So we want to make sure that if they're determined to not be eligible, that determination is correct. And then in any case, if they're being terminated, evicted, if they have a reasonable accommodation request in Section 8 or public housing and the landlord is not abiding by it, we'll take a look at those cases as well and provide. And in those cases, we often provide extensive services to try to get the clients what they need. So specific to Ryan White participants, aside from sort of the things that I discussed, we help with estate planning. So any estate planning documents that they need to assist either healthcare surrogate, powers of attorney, medical decision making, all of that stuff, limited agent, any of those things that they need in order to be able to sort of plan for their long-term health and well-being. Consumer debt specifically related to medical debt, we can assist with. Oftentimes you find that if people don't have healthcare or adequate healthcare, they're paying bills with credit cards, and that can lead to some consumer issues. So we can take a look at those issues as well. So now from health insurance, I talked earlier about like Medicare, Medicaid, but also this includes private health insurance plans. So anything related to their health insurance or healthcare coverage. And if they're facing any discrimination due to their HIV or AIDS status, we'll take a look at those cases as well. So you can refer patients, as you've all discussed this morning, through Miami PE. I know that the question is always like, well, if we can't bill something to Ryan White, why refer them? Well, because we have a very, our policy sort of, there's no wrong door. We want people to get to connect them to the services. If you refer someone over and they either don't qualify for the Ryan White program or don't have a legal issue that we can bill under the Ryan White program, that's fine. We may still open the case for them if they qualify under another grant or source of funding and still assist them. So we may not provide the services through the Ryan White program, but our goal ultimately is to help that patient. So if you're referring someone because you think they qualify and they're a Ryan White participant, you can do that through Miami PE. And if you run into any questions, issues, you want to follow up with a referral, if you email the email listed there, partnerreferrals@legalservicesmiami.org. There are 4 of us that have access to provide and pull referrals and approve that. And emailing that email address will make sure that so if somebody's on vacation or leave or has left the program, there will still be somebody who can answer your question if you need to follow up with a referral through provide. If any of you work with patients that are not Ryan White participants, you can still refer them to us. You don't have to do it through provide or Miami PE. You can just go straight to our website and we have a partner referral form. And you can just pick which healthcare center or agency you work with, and we'll know it's coming from a partner. And we will, it comes in right to our intake team. It's a sign for us to call back. And again, at that point, we will just figure out if we can help them with any other source of funding. It doesn't have to be related at all to Ryan White. If you refer someone in this way, you can still use this partner referrals email address if you need to do any sort of follow-up or have questions after you've referred the patient. The benefit of the referral also when you're referring non-Ryan White participants and doing this is that you'll include your information. And if we run into any issues, sometimes the number's transposed or sometimes, rather than just telling a client to contact us, if you do this, we can follow up with you and make sure that we have accurate referral information or, if we can't reach the client and or they seem confused or why they were referred, we have someone that we can follow up with. And then, I think I put the referral there twice. And then, I just went back. Okay, and then just our general intake information. If you ever just have to send someone over, you don't want to make a referral or even for yourselves or family members. As I mentioned, we work with partners, but we also have intake online, in person, by phone, to make sure we offer it in ways that are convenient for the clients. In-person intake is Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 to noon. Intake by telephone is Monday through Thursday in the afternoons, 1:30 to 4:30. And somebody took control. Let me just try to share again. And then, can you guys still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, my teams, it said somebody else took control, so I'm not able to share anymore. But I was on the last slide, so and I think you all will get the presentation after. You can refer them whether they come in person, by phone, or online. We handle all intakes the same way. They all get routed if they're eligible to speak to an attorney, and we sort of get the same level of service. Ryan White participants have more services. So obviously, if they're a Ryan White participant and you refer them through Miami PE, we're going to make sure that we also screen them for those additional services that they qualify for under Ryan White. But we do try to make sure that everybody has easy access to our services. I know that was a lot of information, but if anyone has questions on any part of the process or referrals, please ask away.
Question, Elenia. In terms of collection finance, healthcare-related services, and health insurance services, those are the 3 of the few services covered under legal services. My question is, it's specific, correct, in terms of when a case manager can refer if there's a collection or finance issue and when it's appropriate for healthcare related. Can you give us some examples of some sort of healthcare related referral that would be appropriate under Part A, as well as
Sure.
health insurance services?
Sure. So I would say if they're having any issues with denial of a service, medical necessity issues, if the health insurance is saying they shouldn't, they can't approve that service, they don't qualify for that service is not covered. You can refer any of those issues. And we'll take, again, this is something we'll look at and see if the determination is correct. Sometimes they apply the wrong regulations. Sometimes they just need additional documentation. So we handle all of that. And then your other one was about consumer, like debt collection.
Collection finance. So it says issues related to unfair or illegal actions by collection agencies related to healthcare debt, bankruptcy due to healthcare debt.
So my recommendation to any of you is err on the side of referring and let us figure it out. I think these are very fact-intensive issues. So if somebody says to you that they have a consumer debt/debt collection issue, they are behind on bills, they're getting debt collection calls, you can refer them to us and we will figure out if it's medical debt related or if it's not, or if it qualifies for IMY or not, or what the appropriate sort of level of service is. Because these cases, I mean, I've been an attorney for 20 years. I don't practice specifically in consumer, and I wouldn't, on a quick conversation with a patient, I wouldn't know what the recommended next steps are, or yes, that's appropriate, or no, that's not appropriate. Like, for example, patients who may be on certain types of benefits may be getting harassment and collection calls, but they may not be collectible. But the second that they enter into a payment plan, they may run into some issues because now they've agreed to pay a debt that's in collection, or they can start the timer again on a debt that's in. So for example, I owe a debt, it's 6 years old, and all of a sudden I start getting really harassing phone calls, and I get SSI. My income is $800 a month, but I'm so scared, so that I agree to make like a $10 payment a month. I restarted the timer on that debt in some situations. So those are all very fact specific. So I would say if patients in your discussion with them mention that they have consumer or debt collection issues, if they mention that they're having any concerns or issues with their healthcare coverage, if they mention that they have any concerns related to estate planning, so whether it's my spouse passed and I don't know who's going to help me make medical decisions, or I'm going to the hospital for a procedure and I just don't know, like, how do I authorize people, anything like that, just refer them and we do a screening on our end to just make sure that we identify what the right legal issue is. I think it's way too much to ask you all to sort of try to parse this out without the legal background.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Of course.
And you listed all of the services in your presentation, correct? That's covered. Did you put in adoption there, or in the rights of recently incarcerated?
So we, for the most part, do not do family law. We're looking into expanding that a little bit. So this may change in the next few months. But we sometimes will have clinics or things like that, but it's not one of our core practice areas, which is why it's not included in this presentation. And we do not typically, and I can share with the group, expungement is very, very limited in Florida, or like clearing your sort of criminal record. And the state attorney's office does a monthly clinic where they can just let the person know automatically, like, yes, you qualify, or no, you don't qualify. And they actually go through the process with them, and it's completely free. And in all honesty, for us to go through that process, it would just be to go through the state attorney's office process, because they're the ones that sort of know which criminal cases can and cannot be expunged. So if you refer them to us, our intake staff has this information and they will direct them to the expungement clinic. And typically, if they have one of those issues, they may have other legal issues. So again, you can err on the side of referring, but don't be surprised if they mention that we send them to a clinic specifically for expungement.
Thank
Samantha.
you.
Yeah, of course.
I think Samantha has a question.
Oh, go ahead, Samantha.
Hi, good morning. I have a question and a statement, I guess. How soon do a lawyer take on a case once it's been referred? Say, for instance, if my client calls me today and he says he has an emergency, he has a court date next week and he need assistance and I do the referral, will, depending on the case, I guess, will you guys be able to take it or not take it? How often do you reject cases?
So that's a really good question. I'm going to say the thing that people always hate that lawyers say, which is it depends. So we pull referrals every day, multiple times a day. So in terms of us starting to try to make contact with the client, that usually happens within one business day. Obviously, if it's like a long weekend, that can add some time there. But we try to make initial contact very quickly. I will be honest, the biggest delay is usually the client calling us back or picking up the phone when we call. That can usually take a few days of us sort of calling, leaving a message, them saying, call me back later, that kind of stuff. But we can move very quickly if it's time sensitive. I would say if you refer someone through Provide or Miami PE, and it is that like very urgent, I would send an email to the referrals email address that I provided there, the partner referrals one, and flag that for us, saying like this client, because sometimes through Provide, it's limited what we can see or so we may not get the urgency just from that sort of referral form that we get. So just emailing us, letting us know I just submitted a referral through Miami PE and the client has an urgent matter. We will expedite calling the client back and making sure that they get connected with an attorney. How often do we accept? Our barrier to accepting is not that the client will have a hearing in the following week. We take sort of emergency cases all the time. The barrier, and in some cases, for example, we'll know that the client, this is their first hearing, they can request a continuance and then come back once the continuance is granted. So that'll be fact specific. It'll depend on that situation. But it will depend on the legal issue and the merits of the case. So if you refer somebody over and they have an eviction, writ of possession on their door, and they're like, well, it's being, they posted it on my door today. That means I have 24 hours because that's what a writ of possession says on your door, right? That's an urgent matter. But if they've already gone through the full eviction process and the writ of possession is posted on their door and they don't have any money to pay and they've been fighting with their landlord and it's gotten really nasty, at that point, there may not be a lot we can do because the eviction process is sort of completely played out. If they have a hearing next week, but it's a disability hearing and they're just scared because they don't want to go alone, well, typically those hearings, they'll easily give you a continuance. We can request medical records and then when they reset the hearing, be there with the client. So it'll just depend on the situation. But we do move very quickly to reach out to clients, connect with them, and then connect them with the attorney. Once our intake screeners make sure the client's eligible, it's immediately sent to the attorney. And again, it's usually a one-day turnaround for them to get a call back from the attorney. Any other questions?
I do have. Do you guys still do name changes and gender markers specifically for trans clients? Yeah.
We do. The gender markers is an issue. The law changed. They can no longer change their gender marker in Florida.
That's what I was asking.
So they can change their name. We saw a huge decrease in clients doing this when the gender marker issue, when that's what it was off the table. We're now seeing clients trickling back in, saying they do still want the name change, even though it's not going to match their gender identity. But, for purposes of working at a job, if I'm being called, John versus Mary, and I identify as John, that does make my life easier, even if my license or my ID still says
male or female. Yeah.
Correct.
Get it.
So we handle them, but sort of the relief has changed for the clients because the law changed.
Got it.
And we're also seeing some people who don't want to do it just because I think there's a little bit of a dampening effect. Like people are scared, I think, to go to the court and identify as transgender and sort of put themselves in the crosshairs is how some of them have. So we've seen some clients who we were in the process of doing the name change, and then they were like, I'm just sort of leaving this for now. I'm not gonna do this right now.
Got it.
But we do handle it, so you can refer them over.
But that would not be through Ryan White. But under which one? Which heading?
I'm not sure, but I know there were a few that had that change and it was billed. It's probably under, let me unmic myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could always visit the service definition online just for additional clarification. For those of you interested. Any other questions?
Specific to name changes, so we'll do it no matter
maybe
what.
That's why. Yeah, that's what I thought. But they could they would do the partner referral, correct?
They could do either partner or Ryan White. I know for Ryan White, we just wouldn't bill it to Ryan White. We would just say like the referral wasn't, we didn't handle it through Ryan White. We don't bill for those service hours.
Yeah. Well, we
Hi,
definitely
Sandra.
wouldn't want to generate a referral for something that's not covered. So yes, Edgar, is that you?
Yeah, yes, it's me. Yes, I have a question, Lana. How you doing? Good morning. Yes, I have a client that I asking to Carla about the client had Medicare and Medicaid active, but the client, they don't qualify right now, but when we're running the Medifax and Medicaid, the client is coming active, but he don't have access to the services. I asked him to Carla, and Carla told me about the client. He needed official documentation that the client cannot access to Medicare and Medicaid deny letter to enroll the client 100% on the Ryan White, because right now the client, they don't have access to doctors, specialties, and also for ADA. The client is enrolled with the ADA, but ADA don't provide the
Edgar,
medication because
is that
what is happening.
a
We
statement
can
or
assist
are
the
you asking a
clients.
question?
I think he was getting to his question.
Excuse me?
You're getting to
Edgar?
a question, right? Edgar, you had a question there at the end.
Yes, and a question. Yeah, because
Can
we
you guys
referred
hear
the
me?
client to legal services 6 months ago, but they didn't come to assist the client.
Edgar, can you hear me?
Yes.
He's not responding.
But I can hear him.
He's talking.
I can hear him.
What is
Okay, I'm sorry, Edgar. Go on. So you were
Now?
saying that
No, you listen.
I'm sorry,
You
did
listen
you
me?
say yes, I can hear you. Did you say that you referred them over to us or did not refer them?
Yes,
I
we
missed that
referred
part.
the client 6 months ago because the client is presenting the issue with the Medicare and Medicaid is coming active. But when the client going to receive the services, Medicaid don't cover. Because I don't know what happened with the legal situation in the past with the client, but it's coming reflected. The client had Medicare and Medicaid active. And Carla sent me an email that we need official documentation that the client cannot access to Medicare and Medicaid in order to enroll 100% on the Ryan White. My question is, we can to refer the client again to legal services to assist with this procedure with Medicare and Medicaid letter?
Yeah,
denied?
I think so because two things can happen. One is we can look and see what's causing the issue, why they're not providing the services, and see if that's accurate and correct. And if it isn't, we can probably help the client get a denial, some kind of denial notice or denial of service, so that then you can use that as needed to sort of provide the services on the other end. But yes, I would refer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate
Of course.
it. Thanks.
Anyone else? I appreciate you all's time and how thoughtful you are out doing these presentations. Of course, please feel free to reach out. I know these things can be complicated, confusing, but my answer is usually just err on the side of referring, and we will figure out what we can do for the patient. So thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for being here and for presenting that information. Any other questions before we end the call? No? All right, great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your participation and your cooperation. Again, we should have this uploaded onto AIDSnet shortly, as well as the two other ones that we've already had in case you weren't able to attend those. So we have another in-service on the 30th. That will be the final in-service for the month of July. And I believe we will be developing a few additional in-services. So hopefully we'll see you all again soon. All right, well, have a great day. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you all again very soon.